Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope that you are all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. To start things off, the weekend was a bit insane. Here's all the news that we have from the weekend. It's a lot to cover. And without further ado, French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire is once again in the news. He has said that Europe should consider its own public digital currency that could challenge Facebook's Libra. The minister's remarks are the latest in a series of vocal misgivings about the social media giant's cryptocurrency plans, which were reported by Reuters on the 13th of September. At a meeting of EU finance ministers in Helsinki, Le Maire told reporters that he would be discussing the potential for a European public digital currency with his counterparts on the continent next month. He also reiterated his concern that the proposed Libra stablecoin could pose risks for consumers, financial stability, and even the sovereignty of the European states. Le Maire urged the European bloc to push ahead with work on its to cut the cost of cross-border payments. As Reuters notes, real-time payments in the Eurozone have been available since 2017, but the scheme has only drawn participation from roughly half of the bloc's banks. Moreover, the project is currently largely focused on domestic payments. Aside from the proposal, Le Maire said the bloc needed to rethink its approach towards regulating cryptocurrencies at an EU level, repeating his calls to refuse the authorized launch of Libra and the European Union. Le Maire argued that the current state of limbo in which regulators continue to debate whether to regulate cryptocurrencies as securities, payment services, or currencies must be resolved through the creation of a robust and common framework. Given this legal uncertainty, a spokeswoman for the European Commission told Reuters that with the publicly available information on Libra, it is currently not possible to say which exact EU rules would apply, end quote. The situation that we have currently right now is that smaller European, not even smaller European countries, other European countries have kind of given what they think should be done with cryptocurrencies within their country. However, the European Central Bank and the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, they want a kind of a uniform thing around exactly what's going to happen within each country with cryptocurrencies. I think a lot of countries have kind of I think everybody wants to do their own thing, kind of. It becomes very stagnant, if that's the word that I can even put out there, when one country says that this is how it should be run for every other country. And the thing that we have also right now is that many other European countries have also come forward talking about creating their own cryptocurrencies. And, you know, for this country and that country and so. And now it looks like we are at least being let into the room for the beginning of the talks, maybe even further along than we actually know, of a potential Euro coin, which I mean, it's logically going to happen. If we're seeing other smaller countries now creating their own cryptocurrencies and we're moving to a more digital world, just a matter of time for this to actually launch. I assume we will not probably hear anything significant about this until after Libra launches and until after the China coin launches sometimes by the end of this year. If either of these are widely successful and are widely used, China coin is you're going to be forced to use it. When one of these is successful and they get their proper metrics back from it and they see exactly how many people are using it, what benefits, air quotes, it has for the government, this is when we'll see something like this roll out. So this was obviously very big news, as the idea of, once again, keeping in mind, cryptocurrencies are only 10 years old. Within those 10 years, countries around the world are desperately trying to digitize their own economies, and they're trying to figure out a way to be able to stay 5 steps ahead of not only Bitcoin, but also Libra. All the news that we have today, once again, is from like the last day or two. It all roughly connects together. This is why I think personally it is very interesting that we're constantly getting this news. This one says the German government will approve its proposed blockchain strategy this September, which reportedly blocks projects like Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency. According to the Spiegel, Germany's federal cabinet will approve its blockchain strategy announced back in June of this year. While the move signals the country's intent to be part of an emerging global economy, the government-run Bundeschain might sound the latest death knell for Libra in Europe. Thomas Heilemann of the center-right Christian Democratic Union, or the CDU, says Germany's legislative coalition already has a standing agreement to prevent the operation of any market-relevant private stablecoin. This is part of what we spoke about a couple of days ago as well, when all the European Union members were coming out saying that they were against Libra and that they would not let Libra launch. Commenting on the matter, Heilemann declared, up to now, the economy has done a great job in countering crises and inflation with measures taken by central banks. Once a digital currency provider dominates the market, it will be difficult for competitors. Rather than Libra capturing the market, authorities appear to be in favor of creating a state-backed digital currency which will run on the Bundeschain. Pretty much meaning, without even going or having to go any further, this is what I find fascinating, is that we're now having conflicting news, if that kind of makes any sense. Within Europe, certain governments keep announcing, and it's mainly France, if you kind of want to single them out. It's not me singling out France, it's more like Bruno Le Maire keeps saying that the entire European Union has to do their kind of own thing, but we keep hearing every other day from another country, whether it be their regulations, what they consider cryptocurrencies to be, or even the entire country of Germany talking about the creation of their own. I assume they don't want to give it the word blockchain, so this is why they're calling it Bundeschain, because you have like Bundespolizei and all this other stuff within Germany, so this is why they're using that name. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see this all unraveling right before our eyes. I think the Bundeschain is already created, or I remember a couple of months ago them talking about that they were actually testing a Bundeschain or something like that. I can imagine that talks are going to happen relatively soon, because you're going to see why within the next couple of stories. Everything is taking place within the last couple of days, and is also going to continue going forward within the next couple of days as well. Like I said, continuing on, this all merges directly into each other. Next up, Germany's largest bank, Deutsche Bank, has joined JP Morgan's blockchain-based network called the Interbank Information Network. That is a terrible name. It's called the IIN. You'll see why it's very important in a couple of seconds. Launched as a pilot in 2017, the JP Morgan-led blockchain initiative now has a network of 320 banks that have entered the platform to swap global payments data using the Ethereum network. This was reported by the Financial Times yesterday. Takis Georgakopoulos, head of payments at JP Morgan, expressed hope that Deutsche Bank would be the first of several other large banks to join the IIN. According to the report, Deutsche Bank is the world's biggest clearer of euro-denominated payments. IIN will enable Deutsche Bank to offer better client services, according to the bank's global head of cash management, Ola Mathiesen, who occupied the position in March 2019. Explained that the bank expects IIN to reduce the cost of processing difficult payments. The IIN network is based on the JP Morgan development Quorum platform and intends to tackle the major challenges of sharing information between banks and speed up transactions to recipients. Quorum is based on the Ethereum blockchain, which was recently reported by co-founder Vitalik Buterin to be almost full as its most popular public blockchain network for decentralized applications. Once again, for those of you who did not get the gravity of that, in 2018, one of the main stories that kept on being touted around, and I assume that a large part of this was simply just misdirection that I also fell for, whenever governments and institutions and everybody else, even banks, that same exact sentence, spoke negatively about Bitcoin, I was like, something's kind of going on behind the scenes. In 2018, they were very hastily. Everyone quickly said something negative about Ethereum. As quick as possible. No one liked it. It was too slow. It was too this. It was too blah, blah, blah. But the news that we are constantly getting over and over and over, especially over the last 3 weeks, has been that this company, this institution, this bank, this government, this so-and-so, they're writing laws on it. They're sending payments on it. They're integrating with this. They're using the Ethereum blockchain. They're creating public side chains, which are also still going to be on the Ethereum blockchain as well. Everyone is seemingly using Ethereum. When you listen or have a chance to listen to podcasts, not even where they explicitly talk about Ethereum, more so about the future use of the cryptocurrency space, the cryptocurrency, blah, 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 so and so and so. Ethereum is usually noted as not being a payments network, but where data will be stored and where data will be transferred. The overall idea now, and it seems to be moving quicker and faster than I expected it to actually do so, especially without any upgrades from Ethereum, is that Bitcoin seems to be, once again, this was said in 2017, and now it seems to be it was mimicked in 2018, and this is kind of where it seems to be going. Anyway, the point is, Bitcoin appears to be the way that, now, stay with me, the way that rich people are going to transfer value. It is believed that in the future, Bitcoin will be a store of value, and it will be a way for people to secure their wealth, hold their wealth privately, whatever, what have you, so on and so forth. That the main chain will be used for larger transactions that will only apply to people who hold large amounts of Bitcoin or who are in the future are trying to send a 10 million Satoshi movement. If the price of Bitcoin goes up to these astronomical numbers, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But Ether will have almost nothing to do with payments. Ether will have to do with data, as Ethereum is trying to basically become their own internet. And this seems to be coming true more and more every single day. I think myself, if we had news from institutions that they were leaving Ethereum or that they weren't using Ethereum, which was also a very big thing in 2018. I think we had 3 different companies, corporations, blah, 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 announced that they were moving over to EOS. And I think a couple of them said in the future they would move over to Cardano. I don't think either one of these things has actually come to fruition. We did have a number of people moving their apps or dApps over to EOS and to Tron and to Cardano. And I think also to Waves. Sure. But it seems like Ethereum is going to be this base network or what the world is going to kind of run on. I hope you understand. Not what I'm even hinting at, kind of what I'm saying. Like this, it doesn't really get more obvious. Once again, just to reiterate, if you have a chance on your phone, on your tablet, type in the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and then type in members, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The most interesting thing is that this article from the 28th of February, 2017, this was before prices had even begun to think about moving up in 2017. It says, big business giants from Microsoft to JP Morgan are getting behind Ethereum. This is when Ethereum was around $8. And I assume if at the beginning of 2017, before prices had started to go up, these companies, in my opinion, in my head, probably own an enormous amount of Ether. And this is why we continuously hear about more support for Ethereum or other projects being built on top of Ethereum, and why no one, in my opinion, has abandoned Ethereum, even after the network continues to slow down or as upgrades have yet to be installed. But as of right now, it looks like we are going to have these upgrades, I believe, in October? Or was it November? I think two upgrades are coming this year, and then one is at the beginning of next year. But very fascinating. Keep that in mind. This was before prices had even begun to move. For those of you who also do not know, very interesting. When Ethereum first got started, it was kind of the same exact thing like many other coins. People called it a scam. People called it a so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Ethereum's price was floating around 50 cents. I remember for a very long time, people told me not to touch it. It was a scam. I didn't listen to them. And what ended up happening is that Vitalik Buterin actually came forward and mentioned that they were going bankrupt. He was like, yeah, we don't have enough money. The price isn't moving. So we're probably going to have to abandon it within the next couple of months. And I think like a month later, I think it shot up to around $3, $4, $5. I think it went to $11 and then settled around $7 and $8, which is where it was at the beginning of 2017. So I assume their call for help was answered by mega companies and mega banks. Like think of how weird that is. Since the beginning of 2017, and this is the news that we got. So I assume that since the end of 2016, JP Morgan and Microsoft have been behind Ethereum. What have they been doing all this time? Who knows? But you'd better believe that they're probably either mining large portions of Ether. I don't want to say they have a direct say in the network. Something's happening behind the scenes, and their money is what probably helped Ethereum get the leg up, if that makes sense. It also kind of makes sense as to why Ethereum went from $8, what was it, $1,300? That's a huge movement, especially when behind the scenes people weren't really paying attention to what was going on. Anyway, that's the Germany, Europe, Eurocoin, JP Morgan working with Germany, Germany working with Ethereum news for today. Next up, staying in Europe, the European Central Bank and 25 global central banks will meet with Libra to discuss the purported financial stability risks of the project. And I will tell you exactly why this is very interesting to me, and it has nothing to do with regulation. Officials from the European Central Bank, the ECB, and 25 global central banks will meet with Libra to assess the financial stability of the project. That's exactly what that just said. That's kind of weird. On the 16th of September, that is today, Libra representatives will meet with the Committee on Payments and the Market Infrastructure, CPMI, a part of the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, in Switzerland. The Financial Times reported a couple of days ago the CPMI, a Bank of International Settlements international standard setter, and a member of the Financial Stability Board, consists of 28 member banks, including the Bank of England, Deutsche Bundesbank, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. According to the report, the event will be the first major encounter between the Libra founders and global policymakers since Facebook revealed the plans around June. Benoit Cœur, an ECB executive who will reportedly chair the meeting in Basel, that's in Switzerland, reportedly said that the bar of regulatory approval for operating Libra in the European Union will be very high. Speaking after a gathering of EU finance ministers in Helsinki on the 13th of September, Cœur stated that it was time for regulators to step up our thinking on a central bank digital currency, hinting at the possibility of such an instrument to the European Central Bank. That pretty much echoes exactly what we were just talking about before as far as a euro coin, the thinking of a central bank digital currency. What I find the most fascinating is, for those of you who have been paying attention, remember a couple of days ago, this country said, we hate Libra. That country said, we don't like Libra. Germany said, hate Libra. France said, no, you will never, ever be in Europe. And a couple days later, what's happening? We now have 25 global central banks, I assume, large amount of them from Europe, who are going to meet directly with the people from Libra and have stated that there will simply be, if they want regulatory approval, that the bar has to be set very high, which leads me to believe, like I said before, if there was going to be any type of an outright ban, I believe we would have heard so already. There are a large number of people who think, I mean, everyone has their own opinions. This is why the world is different, because everyone has their own opinion on how things are going to work out. A lot of people, especially people on podcasts, a lot of, I want to say Bitcoin maximalists, depends on who you're talking to, believe that Libra will never launch. I say, I'm pretty sure it's going to launch. It may not be released the same exact way that the people from Calibra thought it was going to launch. It's kind of like a willy-nilly, just kind of throw it out there, see how it works. It doesn't work, okay, that's fine. I think not only is Libra going to launch, I think it's going to be integrated into government systems. I think that many governments around the world are definitely talking about some type of a worldwide banking consortium interlocked blockchain thing where they can try to stay, I mean, especially if we even get into the talk of China creating their own cryptocurrency, their own coin, their own blockchain, their own systems, that they're also trying to have interoperable amongst themselves and potentially a couple of other countries, especially when we had news before, and every single time, that the people from Venezuela were trying to apparently get people within Iran, Iraq, Russia, and somewhere else to use their cryptocurrency as well against petrol, whatever the actual case might be. One can assume, since the current banking world excludes heavily South America and Africa, that the people from the European Union or Europe in general, something was passing by, European Union and America would try to form their own type of coalition to be able to create their own blockchain payment network banking system. Logically, one would assume so. The way that I've seen the world work out thus far in my life is that when something is banned, it happens very quickly. For those of you who do not know, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, look up like the whole like e-cigarette, vaping cigarettes things in America. That was banned post haste. Everyone's trying to ban it as quickly as possible. But for some reason, a multi-billion-dollar, almost trillion-dollar company who's deciding to make their own currency around the world is not being banned. They just have to have discussions with companies and governments. That seems kind of weird that you would ban cigarettes or these electrical whatever things that people are vaping nowadays before you would ban something that has the potential to destroy part of the world's economy. I'm going to assume if the fact that they're even talking about having these talks, which are going to happen today, and I assume myself that we are probably going to have a lot of news that will come from this, if not even just a little snippet, if a little like subsection of news to talk about the discussions that they were having. I'm going to say that Libra is probably not only going to launch, but is probably going to be integrated into government systems in some sort of way, which then leads us back to that same dystopian future that we were talking about before from Andreas Antonopoulos, who has said many, many times, and many other people as well, that a lot of these things are coordinated. Just because governments say we don't like this, this, and this, and this, does not mean that they're going to ban it or get rid of it. You simply have to shake hands and say this has to be mutually beneficial to the both of us. What happens when a company as large as Facebook, who has between Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp has 2.4 billion users maximum? It's a huge amount of people. Has information or has a discussion with the governments, and they say, sure, you can launch. Just make sure that any information that you get, we also get. Cool, that's fine. You know, if you are charging a 0.1% fee for Libra transfers, make sure that we get around 20% of that. Sure, no problem. So we can launch? Yeah, of course you can launch. Also, just make sure that you are integrated into the entire thing with this and with that. And just, you know, every month, send us some reports. Let us know exactly what's going on. That sounds a lot more believable than what we've been seeing the last, and not even what we've been seeing. Every single time that a country has come out against Libra, they've slightly backtracked. I feel like there would be no reason for a meeting between some of the largest banks in the entire world and the Calibra Foundation, unless something was going to happen. I'm pretty sure they're going to be regulated. That was kind of a given from the get-go, if you will. But yeah, you see exactly what I'm talking about. Part of the problem is that it's very easy to deflect. It's very easy to say, oh no, this won't launch. Oh no, this won't happen. It makes a lot more sense, especially if you Google once again, I think it was the people from JP Morgan a couple of months ago, they said that they want the world to be digitized. They want there to be that they're trying to get rid of fiat. They're trying to get rid of paper money because they want the world to be digitized, because they want to know everything that's happening. So if they want to know everything that's happening, one can only assume that all governments want to know what's happening. If you've seen any CCTVs anywhere all over the place and everything is being tracked. And I mean, even the fact that we're being tracked with everything that we do now, when you buy something on PayPal, with Apple Pay, with Alipay, with Amazon Pay, is that a thing? Every time you tap your card, every time you go somewhere, every time you enter the metro, every time you their countries are, anyway, the point being, the tracking that Facebook can do, or is already doing, and could do when they have information of everyone's payments, that can simply then be also sent information-wise to governments as well, is exactly what governments are doing and have been trying to do for a very long time. I assume by the end of this day, we are going to have proper information as to exactly what happened with this meeting. However, or here are the actual members of the CPMI, without reading all of them out. They're the largest banks that we have in the entire world. Bank of England, Swiss National Bank, Bank of Spain, Central Bank of the Russian Federation. Is it all connecting now? This is, I'm pretty sure, unless something detrimental happens, unless someone is very brazen, is that a word? Is very rude to the policy and lawmakers within these countries during this meeting, I'm pretty sure they'll come to some type of an arrangement, as it were. Next up, here's a kind of a cool one. We spoke about part of this before, but now we have a bit more information. The IOTA Foundation's push to move their platform into the mainstream is clearly making progress as partnerships with major institutions continue to grow. Perhaps the most notable is with Jaguar Land Rover. Earlier this year, the automaker announced that it would be incorporating the IOTA technology into its future vehicles. Now it has released more details on the venture, and the results are very promising for IOTA, as well as for the entire blockchain space. The Jaguar I-Pace, or L-Pace? I'm going to say I-Pace, will be the first car to have the IOTA integration. The all-electric crossover will have a built-in IOTA wallet that will enable owners to receive payments from sharing road data such as weather and traffic conditions. What is truly exciting, however, is that the I-Pace will also use the IOTA Tangle for charging. In cooperation with the Engine Lab Krigen, the development arm of French energy giant NG Group, the car will have a green charging mode that gives owners the opportunity to recharge the batteries with renewable energy, tracing the electricity to its source. Cool. I don't really care about the, tracing the electricity. The point is, how do I put this into words? I would say it's rather interesting that IOTA's price has not been rising, especially with the actual confirmed partnerships that we've been having. However, the cryptocurrency prices in general haven't also been moving in tandem with where I thought they should be. However, on the other side, it's kind of cool that IOTA is actually doing all of these things, that the car itself will have an IOTA wallet, which is kind of insane to even think about. Another thing that I think I maybe skipped over, or maybe people didn't really get the significance of it, is that it says it will enable owners to receive payments for sharing road data such as weather and traffic conditions. It is believed in the future. And this is also why people believe that Facebook is launching Libra. There's been a lot of discussion, I'm pretty sure you've noticed over the last couple of years, with sharing data to companies and organizations and institutions, as far as we've been collecting your data for 5 years and we've made billions off of it and you have made nothing. It is widely believed that in the future, social media platforms, any other platforms that are collecting your data, collecting your cookies, whatever the actual case might be, that in the future, they will pay you so that if you agree to give your information, they will pay you as compensation. It won't be like, click on this, here's $5. It'll be like, as you click around, you'll get a couple of cents. And eventually this cents at the end of the year adds up to maybe a couple of hundred depending on your actual usage of the internet. So it is widely believed, once again, in the future, this is why it says for sharing road data, such as weather and traffic conditions, that everything, as we talk about the future digitization of everything around us, if everything is a coin, if everything is digital, if everything is in some way a token or has some type of value, you'll then be able to share it more widely. And this is why we also were talking about, which we don't really hear about as much anymore, the voice from the people from EOS. It's kind of the same exact thing. You are given value for what you share or for what you do or for what you give out willingly. So this is, it's kind of cool. If you want to really look at a more utopian view of it, as far as being able to share your road data and weather conditions so that other cars who are also linked on the network know, hey, in this area, this is happening, and therefore you get paid out with it. It is widely believed that the cost of electric cars, because everything is automated now, we have machines making our cars, the cost of these cars and self-driving cars will decrease rapidly in the future, especially when we have a more of an automated ride-sharing gig economy world. And therefore, this could then pay for your charging for your vehicle because you're sharing all the data, and therefore you won't really have to pay for your car at all. Like I said, it's a more utopian view. I'm going more on the Tesla level of what they're talking about doing. Anyway, not to completely get off track, I was like 5 blocks away. This is the IOTA news for Jaguar. Kind of cool. I wonder if this will translate into anything in the next couple of months, a year, as far as movement for IOTA. IOTA's price has not been doing that great, but like I said, no other coin really has. However, it's nice to see that their partnerships are actually real, if you get what I'm talking about. In a coordinated fashion, more than 18 central banks worldwide have or plan to cut interest rates, sparking a domino effect of monetary easing. It's been 10 years since the world has seen central planners orchestrate such harmonization in an attempt to save the economy from a deep recession. The last couple of weeks, and I want to say the beginning of this year, we spoke a little bit more about it, but it seems to be coming to a head at this point. What we have seen is that a large number of the largest banks in the world have started to slash their interest rates, meaning when you borrow or take out money in debt in some form, the interest rate that you have is the amount of money that you have to pay back. And what we're starting to see is that they're cutting these interest rates to make it more attractive for you and you and you and you to take out debt, therefore helping to boost the economy. What we normally see on a typical basis is that a government will do this. They'll say, hey, we have to do this. Something is slowing down. Things are not looking too good. However, we have seen currently 19 central banks around the world doing the exact same thing over the last couple of months. The Bank of Japan has an accommodative stance toward monetary easing these days. In July, the Bank of Japan governor explained to the press that he was positive about keeping long-term interest rates at 0% and in the short term making them negative. The Federal Reserve has already cut the interest rate by a quarter point in July, hoping to spur more lending and spending. When the Federal Open Market Committee and Fed Chair Jerome Powell sliced the rates for the first time since 2008, the group noted economic uncertainties remain. Now reports detailed that the Fed officials will lower rates by another quarter point by the end of September. On Thursday, September 12th, the European Central Bank approved a new stimulus package and cut interest rates just like the Bank of Japan and the Fed. Members of the European Central Bank are afraid of worrisome inflation. According to the European Central Bank, the deposit rates dropped from negative 0.4% to negative 0.5%. And this November, the bank plans to begin $20 billion a month worth of bond purchases. For those of you who aren't getting it, or maybe you're relatively new, maybe you just didn't even listen to me last time. They're cutting interest rates to make sure that lending money or for you to take out money is more attractive. Therefore, you are more likely to say, well, it's negative. I don't really have to pay anything. I should just take out a whole bunch of debt and get a mortgage for another 30 to 40 years because their interest rates are negative. What happens is that this usually causes a frenzy of people around the world to say, well, I can't pass that up. And more people start pushing money into the economy. However, we've seen the economy do well, air quotes, for the last 10 years, which is completely unheard of. And this is why we see country after country after country cutting their rates because they were already cut before. For those of you who don't know that, the rates were already cut over the last couple of years to try and make sure that the economy continues to boom. But what happens when you keep cutting the rates and no one's buying your product? The economy in China has been floundering, according to economists, and the country has also been dealing with a trade war with the United States. China's People Bank of China revealed on the 6th of September that the bank would cut its reserve requirement ratio by 50 basis points. People's Bank of China also announced that a few specific banks might be entitled to a ratio reduction of 100 basis points if they qualify. China's new bank cuts will start on Monday. That is today. In a surprise move mid-July, the Bank of Korea announced reducing the country's benchmark interest rates. The BOK also told the press that economists predicted rapid inflation forecasts and slashed the 7-day repurchase rate from 1.75 to 1.5. I'm glad whoever made this article, bless your heart. I am very happy that all of this was kind of put together. I've mentioned many other times before in many other videos, when we get news about what's happening within the world economy, within the world, within so and so and so, we usually tend to lose focus. We don't remember to put everything into context. And once again, a lot of this news that we're getting is from like mid-July, in May, in so and so, September, beginning of September, the end of August. And when you have it all in line like this and you see exactly that every single major bank around the world has been saying the exact same things, it is clear, at least to me. I am not a wizard. I am not an oracle. However, not even reading between the lines, just reading the actual lines themselves, it is very clear that governments around the world are, especially central banks, are afraid of the economy doing worse. It's already doing worse. It's going to continue to get worse. And by them slashing rates, my goodness, sorry about that. If anyone even heard that, I'm pretty sure people heard that. Anyway, the point is, wow, that was weird. By cutting rates, they're expecting people to spend more, but the spending is not happening. The Bank of Russia has been a friend of monetary easing and rate cuts. My goodness. All right, we're going to try that again. The Bank of Russia has been a friend of monetary easing and rate cuts, making its third interest rate reduction in September. Part of the problem is that I speak so fast and then I read far ahead, and that ends up happening. I do this in real life. I do this in fake life. I do this on here. I do this when I read. And that is, I guess, my problem. Continuing on, Russia also has had rate cuts. India, in August, the Reserve Bank of India decreased rates for the fourth time in 2019. The rate cuts this summer were the largest since 2010, shaving 35 basis points, and the RBI will now lend to banks at 5.4%. India, Thailand had the exact same thing, and they have a list over here. Other financial institutions include central banks from England, Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Mexico, Hong Kong, Indonesia, South Africa, Turkey, and the Philippines. Despite decades of poor central planning, these financial institutions retain full power over the monetary system. The people have absolutely no say in how the system is adjusted, tightened, and eased. On top of this is all a bit too coincidental for me, if this makes any sense. We are very close, or rather, what we're seeing is that everything is beginning to align. And, you know, like I always say, just bear with me as far as this type of news. We are, at the moment, if I am not mistaken, by the current date, we are 7 days away from backed launching. And we're getting an enormous amount of news about governments either creating their laws and regulations, getting things in order, creating their own cryptocurrencies, creating their own blockchains, or forming partnerships, or also more talk about central bank digital currencies, or even discussions with Libra. Everything is happening far too close together. Maybe the summer was just a lot more a lull than I expected it was going to be. However, tying directly into this once again, like directly into everything that we've just been talking about, especially with the economy slowing down. Bitcoin traders turned off their terminals and occupied themselves with other things this weekend as the king of crypto barely moved. The Bitcoin trading range is getting tighter, which can only mean one thing: a breakout is imminent. We spoke about this last Friday when I had the chart on the screen. Bitcoin has not moved at all. It has moved $110 over the past 24 hours, which is very, what's the word? Not unreasonable. What's the word? It's not normal. Typically, Bitcoin is very volatile. It moves up and down. Even if you want to talk about normal, regular volatility, it goes up around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% on a given day, up or down. What we have right now is that Bitcoin's range is completely moving sideways. There are a number of analysts out there who believe that sometime this week or the beginning of next week, Bitcoin is going to have a major movement. Why is that significant once again? Because it's when backed launches. I'm short of saying that I think it's going to happen sometime this week. It looks like it. The fact that we have only been moving by $100 leads me and many other people to believe that we are going to have a dramatic movement sometime this week. I think it's reliant on if we have some type of really good news or some type of really bad news. Bitcoin doesn't normally react to bad news. No country out there is going to be banning Bitcoin. And I don't think the only thing that would really work is if we got news about Fidelity's launch, New York Stock Exchange launch, or some other major, or even a Bitcoin ETF approval, which I think is not until October or November, but these are also going to be shut down. I'm hoping myself that the price moves down. This would be good for people to pick up more Bitcoin. It'll also hit all of the buy orders on the way down, which will cause the price to then shoot up from the actual range where we've currently been. But like I said, many people are expecting this week that the price is going to move. Like I always say, it has to go up or down. And me personally, I'm hoping that it goes down just to be able to get more in anticipation for the rise up. But if it also goes back up, I mean, I'm not gonna cry and be like, oh no, I made money. That's not probably what would end up happening. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters: Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Adam Graysick, Mohair Maroney, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Woody and Daisy, Triple M and J, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Milweezy, JR, Mechanic, Strange Radio Central, Crypto Artist Cole D3D, Cryptopolis, Nicholas Renorth, One Piece, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Krypton Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Chest Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. And yes to crypto. Thank you all very, very much for your support. At the moment, like I said, crypto market is really not moving at all. Some coins are like heavily down, but in general, I think a lot of coins are trying to break out of the trend, but it's not really going to work. A lot of people were saying before a couple of days ago that they expect altcoins not to move until Bitcoin passes by $20,000 again. I think we are going to experience something like that relatively soon. I don't think altcoins will wait forever. However, this is just kind of how things are. Hope you all enjoyed in all possible ways. I'm going to work on speaking slower because it's not an issue. It's just I need to read better, more, slower. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.